Welcome back to week 3 of CS360. This week we're actually going to get into Android Studio and design the user interface that we're actually going to make work next week. So I want to talk you through that. There's a couple of tips and tricks that you can have a really hard time if you don't understand this stuff, or if you just click the wrong thing. So we're going to dig into it. I want to get into the code. So to do that, let's make a new project. So you should have Android Studio installed. You just click New Project, and here we have the choices, empty views and basic views. The two we're going to work with this semester. They allow you to create Java code natively, like the first thing that it comes up is Java code. Empty views is a single screen. Basic views are two screens that are connected with a button that go back and forth. So that'll make switching between your views really easy. But for this first app, all we're going to do is we're going to write a hello world where you type in your name and you click hello and it says hello your name, something like that. Real simple. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to write a similar app. I'm going to design the user interface for a similar app that adds two numbers together, so you can see what I'm doing and see what I'm thinking and that sort of thing. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to give it an application name. I'm going to call mine CS360 Week 3-1 underscore Heusser, which was my last name. It would be really helpful if you did something similar where it was the week, the assignment, and your name. Later you're going to have to zip it up. That's very helpful to zip things up that way too. But and you see here the default is the Android API 28, which I believe is what your Zybooks give you. And it's used by 89.6% of devices, so almost 9 out of 10. So, and all they have to do is update their hardware, software a little bit if they've fallen behind. And in my experience, when you get past a certain age of devices, you start to have other problems with more complex apps anyway. So when to cut off, what level of API to support, we're going to talk about late in the semester. For now, the Zybook examples are API 28, use API 28. We're going to make it Java. If it says Kotlin, change it to Java. And don't worry so much about the Gradle. Kotlin's fine. We click Finish. Comes the app. And I think in a second, it's still really building. So this project tree at the left, if you don't see the project tree, there's a lot of the parts of the app are hidden. There's just so much. And you want that, because if you have everything together, then your main screen becomes very small. But there it goes. But if you don't see project, you can click project. There's project. Within it, you have Java. You can drill into the Java to get your code. That's our main code here. And then you have resources. And resources include the layout. The layout includes the activity main. This is the tricky part. So the Zybooks example is mostly edit the activity main directly. I'm going to show you how to do that. But it's very tempting to just use Layout Designer, which is fine. But Layout Designer has a few of its own quibbles and foibles, so we'll talk about that so you don't have any problems. So if I double click on Activity Main, I see, oh, this is so great, this is so easy, this is so amazing. In the center, I have my layout. If you don't see the palette, which are the types of widgets to just drag and drop, then you click on it, it'll appear. Like the same thing is true for attributes, which are things like the color of the object, whether the button is enabled or not, the name of the object, hints to where to put it on the screen. So if you don't see attributes, you can pop that open, and we can just drag this thing up toward the top. And we can, every element should have a name, an ID. We're going to call it TV for text, view, header, because it's going to be the description of the app. And the text, instead of hello world, I'm going to write edition app. So far it seems super easy. I can click this plus button to see it a little bit bigger. push it up a little higher. And what are we going to need for an addition app? Well, we're going to need plain text that is the first number to add. We're going to need a plus symbol. We're going to need the second number to add. We're going to need the answer. And we're going to need a button that is the calculate button. And we're going to say btn calculate. And so why is it saying refactor here? It's saying refactor because if if the ID was anywhere all over the code, when this button is clicked, do this. Well, we just changed the name, so we want to change all the code associated with it. It just fixes it up real fast for us. But instead of button, I want to write calculate. Calculate. Now, instead of name, this should be blank to start, and this should be blank to start. We'd go in and we'd change their names. Text view should be blank to start, I would think. No, text view should be blank to start. We changed the name. All those are gradable in the rubric. You can read the rubric. It's going to ask for the order. This text view should be a plus, and we'll call it TV plus. One thing that I do like to do that's kind of neat is we can go down to text appearance and make the font size large for that button plus, because the plus is kind of important in this little app. And there's various things we can do to center, and this is going to be a problem because I thought I have everything laid out really nice here, right? Super easy. Turn this in. Maybe look at the pixel coordinates. If you want to get into the code of the activity main, it's right up here. And here's the code. So you can edit it directly. But we notice let's try to run it. Let's try to run what I have now. So in the top here, you can have configurations. You can add a configuration. You can add a combination of a device and an API. And I've got them here. I've got a bunch. I'm going to do a newer device with the newer API. It should be backwards compatible. It's going to be fine. When I click run, it's going to take a while. Starting AV. That's the virtual device emulator. And, we're running Android Studio, which is a big memory taker, big CPU taker on top of my computer, and then we're running an entire mobile phone on top of that too. This is not going to be super fast, but what is going on? Why is it all in the upper? I don't like that at all. That is because Android by default comes with a constraint layout, and we haven't set up any constraints. So I'll teach you a little bit about how to do that. Constraints, they're a pain. We'll learn about them by experimentation, but this constraint now is tied to the left of the screen. We're going to make it 40 pixels away from the left. I'll make it 30. This one, it's going to be below this. We're going to make it 40 pixels below. This next one, so you see that little circle, I'm clicking that, and the other circles appear. Going to constrain it to the bottom of that widget, and I'm going to make it 30 away. So now these three have constraints on them, and when I run the app, at least those three should be, some of the stuff is defined, some of it isn't. So I'm not going to take all the time to go through adding constraints to all of them. You can read about constraints online. If you don't like, you can use the Zybook example to just edit the XML directly if you just find the editor a pain. But there's two ways to do it. You can use the editor directly, but don't make sure you use constraints, or you can edit the XML directly, and I'm available if you have any questions. The good news is in week 3, I don't really need to run it in the emulator. So design it. You could use the designer, but it's going to have to actually work in week 4, so you might as well get it to work in week 3. So thanks for listening, and if you have any questions, send me an email. If my email responses aren't fast enough, ask for my phone number. You can text me. Just don't overuse the privilege. So thanks, and I'll be seeing you in the discussion boards and such. Much more to come. But this video is just on how to create a visual layout in Android Studio for the user interface. Thanks.